The unexpected return. Alarm systems of terror stations screamed through the corridors as Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim rushed toward the tactical center. Her boots echoed against the metal flooring while emergency lights bathed everything in. Pulsing red, something massive had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, and every sensor array pointed toward the same impossible conclusion. The energy signature matched no known vessel in the galactic database. Yet the quantum resonance patterns were unmistakably human in origin. Admiral Marcus Chen stood before the main display screen in the command center, his weathered face reflecting decades of military service and the weight of protecting humanity's last stronghold. Earth had been fighting a losing battle against the hegemony for 3 years now, watching colony after colony fall to their relentless advance. The alien confederation had swept through human space like a plague, destroying everything in their path with technology that made Earth's best weapons look like primitive clubs. The tactical officer's voice cut through the tension as new data streamed across his console. The approaching vessel measured over 2 kilometers in length, dwarfing even the largest ships in Earth's defense fleet. Its design incorporated elements that seemed familiar yet impossible, as if someone had taken human engineering principles and evolved them far beyond current capabilities. Most disturbing of all were the energy readings that suggested weapon systems operating on principles that Earth's scientists had only theorized about in classified research papers. Dr. Rebecca Walsh hurried into the command center, her scientific instruments already analyzing the strange readings that poured in from long-range sensors. The chief science advisor had spent her entire career studying alien technology, trying to unlock secrets that might give humanity an edge in the ongoing war. What she saw on her scanner displays defied everything she thought she knew about physics and engineering. The mysterious vessel seemed to exist partially outside normal spacetime, phasing in and out of reality in patterns that should have torn any known material apart. Communications. Officer Lieutenant Torres suddenly straightened at his station, pressing one hand against his earpiece while his other hand worked frantically over his controls. His voice carried disbelief as he announced that the unknown vessel was broadcasting on emergency frequencies that had been classified for 50 years. The identification code streaming through space belonged to the HSS Phoenix, a deep space exploration vessel that had vanished during humanity's first attempt to establish contact with civilizations beyond the local star cluster. The Phoenix had been humanity's greatest achievement when it launched half a century ago. Equipped with experimental technology and carrying the brightest minds of their generation into the unknown reaches of space. Its mission had been simple in concept, but revolutionary in scope. Make contact with advanced alien civilizations and return with knowledge that could elevate humanity to its rightful place among the stars. The ship had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only fragments of final transmissions that spoke of incredible discoveries and unimaginable dangers. Admiral Chen felt his hands tremble as he authorized the transmission of current security codes to the approaching vessel. If this truly was the Phoenix returning from its impossible journey, then everything about humanity's situation was about to change. The ship had been presumed lost with all hands decades ago, yet here it was, broadcasting authentication protocols that only a handful of people still alive would even recognize. The implications staggered him as he considered what 50 years of deep space exploration might have accomplished. Captain Alina Vasquez materialized on the main viewer as the communication link stabilized, her image crackling with residual energy. From the transmission system, she looked exactly as she had when the Phoenix departed Earth 50 years ago, apparently untouched by the passage of time that should have aged her into an elderly woman. Her uniform bore insignia that predated current military protocols, yet her eyes held knowledge and experience that spoke of incredible journeys through regions of space that ordinary humans had never imagined. The captain's voice carried authority, an urgency as she requested immediate clearance to dock with Terra Station. Her brief report mentioned discoveries that would reshape humanity's understanding of technology, warfare, and their place in the galactic community. She spoke of allies found in distant star systems and enemies faced in the darkness between galaxies. Most importantly, she brought news of weapons and defenses that could turn the tide of the war that was slowly destroying everything humanity had built. Dr. Walsh monitored the Phoenix's approach with growing excitement and apprehension. The ship's hull incorporated materials that her instruments couldn't identify, substances that seemed to absorb and redirect energy in ways that violated several fundamental laws of physics. The vessel's propulsion system operated without generating the radiation signatures typical of human or alien technology, suggesting advances in engineering that were decades ahead of anything currently deployed by any known civilization. Commander James Rodriguez appeared alongside Captain Vasquez on the communication channel, his tactical expertise evident as he briefed Admiral Chen on the current military situation they had observed during their approach to Earth. The Phoenix had monitored hegemony fleet movements during their journey through human space, analyzing enemy formations and weapon capabilities with sensors that far exceeded anything available to Earth's defense forces. His preliminary assessment suggested that humanity's current military doctrine was based on fundamentally flawed assumptions about space warfare. The docking procedure required special modifications to Terra Station's systems as the Phoenix's advanced technology interfaced with standard human equipment. Chief Engineer Martinez worked frantically to establish compatible connections while his teams marveled at the returning vessel's sophisticated systems. Every component they examined showed signs of technological advancement that should have taken centuries to develop. Yet the ship's logs indicated it had been away for only 50 years. Subjective time, Dr. Sarah Mitchell stepped off the Phoenix, carrying data cores that contained information gathered from dozens of alien civilizations across multiple galactic sectors. The ship's chief science officer had spent decades cataloging technological advances and cultural developments that could revolutionize human society. Her preliminary reports mentioned faster-than-light communication systems, energy sources that could power entire planets, and defensive technologies that could make Earth effectively invulnerable to conventional attack. The crew of the Phoenix had aged only 5 years during their 50-year journey, thanks to temporal displacement effects encountered near the galactic core. They had established contact with ancient civilizations that remembered the first wars between organic life and artificial intelligence. They had explored the ruins of empires that had conquered entire galactic arms before falling to hubris and internal conflict. Most importantly, they had learned that humanity possessed qualities that even the most advanced species respected and feared. Admiral Chen called an emergency session of the Defense Council as reports from the Phoenix painted a picture of galactic politics that was far more complex than anyone had imagined. The hegemony was not the unstoppable force they appeared to be, but rather a coalition of desperate species fleeing from threats even more dangerous than themselves. Humanity's reputation had spread throughout the galaxy during the Phoenix's absence, earning respect for their adaptability and fear for their potential for rapid technological advancement. The demonstration of Phoenix's defensive capabilities left the assembled military leaders speechless. The ship's adaptive shielding systems absorbed direct hits from Earth's most powerful weapons, converting the incoming energy into power for its own systems. Its quantum phase cannons fired projectiles that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, making them impossible to intercept or deflect using conventional methods. Most impressive of all was the ship's ability to phase partially out of normal space-time, making it effectively untouchable by enemies operating in standard reality. Captain Vasquez concluded her briefing with intelligence that changed everything. The Defense Council thought they knew about the approaching invasion. The hegemony fleet heading toward Earth was not the main force they had assumed, but rather an advanced scout group sent to test human defenses and capabilities. The real invasion would not begin until the scouts reported back on humanity's weaknesses and technological limitations. The Phoenix's return had given Earth a narrow window of opportunity to prepare for a conflict that would determine the fate of their entire species. As the first part of this incredible story reached its conclusion, Admiral Chen realized that humanity was no longer the desperate underdog fighting for survival against impossible odds. The Phoenix had returned with knowledge and technology that could transform Earth into a major galactic power. But success would depend on how quickly they could adapt to their new capabilities and the responsibilities that came with them. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Asterisk. The galaxy's new power, the transformation of Earth's defense fleet, began within hours of the Phoenix's return, as teams of engineers and scientists worked around the clock to integrate alien technology with human systems. The process required fundamental changes to everything from power generation to tactical doctrine, forcing military leaders to reconsider strategies that had been developed over centuries of terrestrial warfare. Dr. Sarah Mitchell supervised the installation of quantum resonance communicators that could coordinate fleet movements across interstellar distances without the delays that had previously made large-scale operations impossible. Admiral Chen stood in the newly constructed war room aboard Terra Station, watching as real-time displays showed the positions of every ship in human space. The Phoenix's advanced sensor networks had been integrated with existing surveillance systems, creating an intelligence network that could track enemy movements light years away. For the first time since the war began, humanity possessed the tools needed to fight on equal terms with their alien adversaries. The first test of humanity's new capabilities came when hegemony scout ships attempted to probe the outer defenses of the Sol system. Captain Vasquez led a small task force of modified human vessels against the intruders, using tactics that had been developed during the Phoenix's encounters with hostile species throughout the galaxy. The battle lasted only minutes, but its outcome sent shockwaves throughout the galactic community as human ships demonstrated technology that should not have existed. Commander Rodriguez coordinated the engagement from the Phoenix's command bridge, his tactical displays showing enemy formations in detail that exceeded anything previously available to human forces. The hegemony scouts fought with the confidence of a superior force encountering primitive opposition, but their assumptions proved catastrophically wrong as human weapons tore through their defenses with ease. The alien vessels that had terrorized human colonies for years were destroyed without managing to inflict significant damage on their attackers. The wreckage of the hegemony scout ships provided Earth's scientists with their first opportunity to examine enemy technology up close. Dr. Walsh led teams of researchers in analyzing alien systems that had seemed impossibly advanced just days before. The comparison with technology acquired during the Phoenix's journey revealed that the hegemony's weapons and defenses were actually inferior to equipment developed by several species that humanity had encountered in deep space. News of the victory spread throughout human space faster than anyone had expected, carried by quantum communication networks that connected distant colonies in settlements that had been preparing for evacuation suddenly found themselves organizing defensive militias as hope replaced despair. The Phoenix had brought more than advanced technology. It had brought proof that humanity could not only survive, but thrive in a galaxy full of hostile civilizations. Ambassador Zara Katesh arrived at Terra Station aboard a diplomatic vessel that bore the insignia of the Galactic Council. Her mission to assess humanity's newfound capabilities and determine their implications for galactic stability. The tall, graceful alien had spent decades managing conflicts between species throughout the galaxy, but she had never encountered a situation quite like this. A previously minor civilization had suddenly acquired technology that rivaled the most advanced species in known space. The ambassador's meeting with Admiral Chen and Captain Vasquez revealed the complex political situation that existed beyond human space. The Galactic Council represented dozens of ancient civilizations that had maintained peace through careful balance of power and mutual deterrence. Humanity's rapid technological advancement threatened to upset relationships that had been stable for thousands of years. Some species viewed the human ascension as an opportunity for new alliances, while others saw it as an existential threat. Dr. Mitchell presented her analysis of galactic civilization patterns to the assembled diplomats and military leaders, drawing on data collected during the Phoenix's journey through regions of space that few species had ever explored. Her findings suggested that humanity possessed unique characteristics that allowed them to adapt and integrate alien technologies far more rapidly than other species. This adaptability had been the key to their survival on Earth, and it was now proving to be their greatest advantage among the stars. The Phoenix's database contained detailed information about hundreds of alien species, including their strengths, weaknesses, and historical conflicts with other civilizations. Captain Vasquez shared selected intelligence with the Galactic Council representatives, demonstrating humanity's new understanding of galactic politics and their willingness to participate as responsible members of the interstellar community. However, she also made it clear that humanity would not tolerate further aggression against their territories or colonies. The first diplomatic breakthrough came when the Catherian Empire, longtime enemies of the hegemony, requested a formal alliance with humanity. Their delegation arrived aboard warships that dwarfed even the Phoenix. Yet their representatives spoke to Admiral Chen as equals rather than the superior beings they had once considered themselves. The Empire's military commanders were particularly interested in human tactical innovations that had proven so effective against hegemony forces. Engineer Martinez worked with Catherian technicians to establish compatibility between human and alien systems, creating hybrid technologies that exceeded the capabilities of either species working alone. The collaboration produced defensive shields that could absorb energy from multiple types of weapons simultaneously, and offensive systems that could adapt their attack patterns in real time based on enemy responses. These innovations represented the beginning of a new era in galactic warfare. The hegemony's response to humanity's emergence as a galactic power was swift and decisive. Warlord Thaxma dispatched a full battle fleet toward human space, intending to crush this upstart species before they could further destabilize the existing order. His forces numbered in the thousands of ships, representing the combined military might of a dozen conquered civilizations. The warlord had never encountered an enemy that could stand against such overwhelming force. Intelligence reports from deep space monitoring stations tracked the approaching hegemony fleet as it moved through hyperspace toward the Sol system. The enemy formation was massive, but analysis of their movement patterns revealed tactical doctrines that had not changed significantly in centuries. Captain Vasquez recognized weaknesses in their approach that could be exploited using strategies developed during humanity's exploration of ancient battlefields throughout the galaxy. The Defense Council approved Operation Prometheus, a preemptive strike against the hegemony fleet while it was still days away from Earth. The plan required precise coordination between human and Catherian forces, using quantum communication networks to synchronize attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Admiral Chen knew that the operation's success would determine whether humanity emerged as a major galactic power or was crushed by the weight of ancient enemy alliances. The battle began in the Centauri system as human and Catherian forces ambushed hegemony, advance units attempting to establish forward bases. The Phoenix led the attack, its advanced systems allowing it to engage multiple enemy ships simultaneously while providing tactical coordination for the entire Allied fleet. Commander Rodriguez's battle plans incorporated lessons learned from conflicts that had occurred thousands of years before humanity had even achieved spaceflight. The effectiveness of the human tactical doctrine surprised even their Catherian allies, as hegemony formations were systematically dismantled by coordinated attacks that targeted specific weaknesses in their defensive systems. Ships that had conquered dozens of civilizations found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned by forces they had dismissed as primitive. The psychological impact of their defeats began to spread throughout the hegemony's military hierarchy. Dr. Walsh monitored the battle from Terra Station's command center, analyzing real-time data from the engagement to identify patterns that could be exploited in future conflicts. Her research teams had developed countermeasures for every type of weapon system the hegemony deployed, turning their own technological advantages against them. The enemy's adaptive capabilities, once their greatest strength, became a liability when faced with human innovation and creativity. The turning point came when Warlord Thaxma himself entered the battle aboard his flagship, a massive vessel that had been the terror of dozens of star systems. The Phoenix engaged the enemy command ship in single combat, demonstrating the full capabilities of human technology enhanced by knowledge gathered from across the galaxy. The duel lasted hours, watched by forces on both sides as two very different philosophies of warfare clashed in the darkness of space. Victory came not through superior firepower, but through superior understanding of the underlying principles that governed advanced technology. Captain Vasquez had learned during her journey that every civilization eventually faced the same fundamental challenges, and the solutions they developed revealed their true character. Humanity's approach emphasized adaptation and cooperation rather than domination and conquest, principles that proved more effective in the long term. The defeat of Warlord Thaxma marked the end of the hegemony as a major galactic threat and the beginning of humanity's role as a stabilizing force in interstellar politics. Species that had lived in fear for generations suddenly found themselves free to pursue their own destinies, while former enemies sought to establish peaceful relationships with the humans who had liberated them. The galaxy would never be the same as this incredible story reached its conclusion. Admiral Chen reflected on the transformation that had occurred in just a few short weeks. Humanity had evolved from a desperate species fighting for survival into a major galactic power capable of reshaping the political landscape of entire star clusters. The Phoenix had returned with more than advanced technology. It had brought the knowledge and wisdom needed to use that power responsibly. The galaxy was indeed not ready for what humanity had become, but perhaps that was exactly what it needed. Asterisk.